Hi, I'm Mike Grisey with Diamond Products, and we're here with the CC8574. The version we have here is the Dynatech floating head. As you can see, we have the 9-inch capacity floating head on this unit. It does go up to a 13-inch capacity. When I say capacity, I mean width. What we have here is electronically controlled actuators. This is going to keep you a consistent depth throughout your cutting experience. You have the head that, when we call it a floating head, it's going to float with your imperfections of your road, and that way, like I said, you're going to get a consistent depth. Okay, as we walk around the saw, we mentioned 8574. So 74 is the horsepower of this Deutz engine. Nice thing about this Tier 4 final engine is it does not have to regen. It is a DOC exhaust on it, so all the new emissions are updated, and like I said, it's Tier 4 final engine. As we make our way around, obviously you can see other features and benefits. You've got your construction strobe light, safety light. You do have this umbrella to keep your operator out of the sun. The saw itself, we started out, the old model saw was a CC8000, and when we started doing research on how to improve that model for the next generation, for the Tier 4 final engine, we noticed that we had some weak points. We had some spots that, while adding a higher horsepower engine and more features and benefits, we needed to take care of some issues as well. One main point of issue was this rear wheel assembly. Now, generally it wasn't a failure on all machines, but depending on how you loaded it onto a trailer, how steep the incline of your trailer was, you could have failures back here. So the redesign actually went into a larger, beefier frame that actually is tied into the general frame assembly of the saw. Also, heavier duty sealed bearing assembly. That way it's protected from all the elements. Obviously, we're grinding, we're cutting, we have dust, dirt, debris. We don't want that to get in there and have a failure. But again, this is a complete redesign, so we're not going to have that failure. We're not going to have those issues going forward. Okay, and as we walk around the saw, we're kind of at the operator station here, where you have your operator interface, steering wheel, speed controls, both for the grinding or blade assembly and for the maneuvering of the saw forward and back travel. One thing we want to point back as far as when we're talking about the steering and going back to the rear wheel assembly, the old model of CC8000 actually had a hydraulic motor that was a little inefficient. Now there's an actuator that is actually set up with a rack and pinion style steering, so that way you're going to have more precise maneuvering down the road, a straighter line, a lot easier of an operator experience. Speaking of that, we're going to get into videos. We're going to have a couple more videos here that show the startup, etc. So we're going to show the operator interface here. That the idea of this was one point of contact for all your controls. So all your gauges, everything that you're trying to monitor when you're grinding or cutting is going to be right here centrally located. So a lot easier of an operator experience. So now we have, we're coming from the front of the operator station here, and a few nice necessities when you're early in the morning, late at night. We have your caution light I already mentioned. We do have 2 spotlights. These are LED style, more new gen lights, very bright, vivid, so you can see on your construction site, and also so you can be seen. Service points. We have service points and access points. You have a lot of stuff happening in a very small package. You always want to make your your service crew happy as well. So they've got to be able to get in and access filters, lines, etc. So let's go over that real quick. In your driver's seat right here, you have 4 bolts at the bottom. 3 are identical, 1 is different. You're going to remove those 3 bolts. This seat will swing back. You have your access point in here, a service access point for your fuel filters. That's going to be in there. Another access point. This is basically the business end of the hydraulic assembly. So we talk about this being a variable speed, infinitely a variable speed saw. It is a hydraulically driven for the blades. This is your pump setup. You have all your lines, easy access for doing any maintenance, service, etc. You have your hydraulic tank. You have your fill right here. Really nice. Again, to this access panel, you have your filter for your hydraulic system there. That's for your blade pump, your main pump. Also on your hydraulic tank, you have a clean out area. So down the road, eventually, when you want to change your hydraulic fluid, you'll want to clean out that tank. That's an easy point. Pull it out, wipe it all down, put it back together, fill up with fresh fluid, completely in your system. As we come around, you have your diesel tank, easy fill, easy to get to, easy to pour. As we come around the saw, we have another access point here for your service items. These are just quick little kind of half-turn Zeus fittings. As you can see in here, you have your battery assembly, you have your battery cables. We've got the engine, the side of the engine. We have the filter, we have the dipstick, easily accessible. We have another hydraulic filter. This is for your charge pump for your wheel drive system, easily accessible. Also, another feature on this saw that the old model CC8000 didn't have is it actually has a parking brake. So if you're on an incline or decline, it won't get away from you. Well, in a case in point that you have a failure or you have to load it and you don't have the drive system to do it, there is very detailed instructions on how to release the brakes so you can get it back up on a trailer and get it back safely to the shop. So when we discuss the fuel, I want to make sure we're perfectly clear. We talked about not having to regenerate. We don't have a DPF system. That's a blessing when it comes with this Deutz engine. We also don't have the DEF. So if you think of larger Deutz or larger diesel engines, they actually have another additive for the fuel. There will be additional tank. You don't have any of that with this saw. So again, no regeneration needed and no DEF tank or additional fluids required for the Tier 4 final engine. We're going to put the keys in ignition. Like I said, we're going to be doing more videos here discussing the operation. But one thing I wanted to point out for safety purposes, we do have the construction light on top, your safety light, that is a strobe. Also on the back of the saw, we have these flasher lights. Anytime this saw is running, these are going to be flashing. So again, if it's early in the morning, late in the evening, you're able to be seen by traffic, by other equipment, etc. Another redesign when we're discussing the back of this machine is the cooler system. On the old model, you had electric fans, you had water cooled, you had multiple assemblies trying to keep the oil system, the engine cool. On this piece of equipment right here, because it's a complete redesign, we were able to go full bore, get exactly what we needed for the whole package. On the bottom here, this bottom portion of the radiator, this is for your hydraulic setup. The large portion of the radiator, that's for your engine system. And the smaller cooler on the add-on is for the fuel system. So these three coolers work together and keep everything perfectly cool and running optimally. So when talking about service points, we have your electronics, your electrical components for service. So we're talking about your fuse panel, your relays, we're talking about all your main contacts coming in here. We have your battery terminals coming in. So easy access point for your service crew to be able to come in here in a nice sealed box. So continuing to move around the saw, we get once again back to your operator station. A couple little fine points we want to talk about. You do have an operator safety switch in the seat. That means the operator has to be in the seat, obviously depressing the switch to be able to start the unit. Nice thing about that is we're going to compare it to a riding lawnmower, that if you have your controls in park, your blade switch in neutral, you can now, where you were not able to on the old CC8000 saw, you're now able to get off the saw without shutting the machine down. Again, going back to the controls that we're looking at here, we're looking at your forward and reverse for your drive. Again, reverse, forward, we're looking at neutral. Here is your park position. You're going to need it in the park position while the saw is running to have your brake on. If the machine is shut off, the parking brake will be engaged automatically. We're going to the left here. Now we have the controls for your blade drive. So we have up cut moving forward, and we have a down cut moving in the reverse pattern. So again, stop or neutral is dead center. All these little diagrams here, all the decals, explain all this in great detail. For your raise and lower of your arm, you're going to use this side switch. Again, redesigned to have all the controls on one basic handle. Instead of reaching across and raising the arm and reaching across and trying to articulate the actuators on the arm, you have your arm up and down here. Then on your fingertips, on your pointer and middle finger, you have the articulation of your actuators on your head, up and down, okay? Another feature and benefit, seems pretty basic, but the cup holder. This was backed by popular demand. So when your operator's out there in extreme heats and conditions, he can have his thermos sitting here and be able to hydrate. We're going to go over all these controls in another video, but basically you have all your lights, you have your engine throttle, you have your horn, you have your e-stop, and of course you have your ignition switch with your keys. We were talking about the access panels, and we're using the little Zeus fittings. This is on the key ring. It comes with the saw, so you can get into all those access panels very easily. Now we're going to get to the actual operation and startup of the machine. First, another convenience factor, or feature I should say, is the adjustable steering wheel. Get it where it's most comfortable, where you can access all your controls. Simply lock that into place. As we're looking at the display and we turn the machine to the on position, not start, the display will take a second to boot. You can hear all the fans coming on, you can hear the pumps coming on. It says select blade size, so you can go up or down in your blade size. I'm going to ask that you consult with technical service at Dynatech for exact specifications on the head you're running to see where you need to set this right here. But after you select the blade size, simply press enter. As you can see, all the controls, all the displays, all the gauges are right here in one area. So going to different controls again, we have your forward and reverse brake. That's up in the center, up in this right corner here. You got the brake for your travel. You have the wheel drive brake is in park, now in park, not. You're going to get a warning that says, you know, you must be in park before starting. So again, a lot of little benefits to this screen. Your blade drive must be in neutral. So if your blade drive accidentally, your operator shut it off and that was in the rotation setting, you got to go back to neutral, and then all your screen will come up and let you know that you're ready to start. Your blade, when you go to start it up, you actually must be on the seat to activate your safety feature. You have an e-stop like we discussed over here. Display tells everything very simply what's happening before you need to start. So again, we have your blade speed. We have 2 ticks here being your low and high settings. We're going around the corner here. We have your blade shaft hours. This is resettable. We have the configuration that you're currently in for your blade size. We have your engine RPMs, or engine speed. You have the actual time, the clock. We have your battery voltage. We have your hydraulic temperatures, and we have your coolant temperatures. So again, everything that you need is on this easy to use screen. Now that we've gone over the interface and all the features of the operating station, we simply want to start. Again, you have to make sure you're in park for your drive. You also have to make sure your wheels or your drive system for your blades is in neutral. And then again, if there's any fault, it's going to come up on your screen and not allow you to actually start the saw. So simply turn to the start position. You can see your blades are not moving, so you're at 0 blade speed. Your engine RPM is registering. Then you can simply raise the head off the ground, and as we stated, you have your forward and your reverse. Now that we've gone over the complete brand new redesign, the CC8574 Dynatech floating head saw, if you have any further questions, we're here to help. Please contact us at the Dynatech Technical Service Line.